How's it going, everybody? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I invite you to pull up a chair, sit back, and relax, and welcome you to Season 2, Episode 2 of the SPMA Council podcast. The 2020-2021 academic year is right on our doorstep. Feels crazy because I'm honestly thinking that March is literally a month ago. But time goes by fast, and before you know it, we're back at Brock and they're ready to go. Welcome back, returning students, returning listeners, and welcome to Brock, new listeners and first years. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. We're a podcast that interviews various sport industry professionals, a lot of them being Brock SPMA alumni, for them to share their story, and for you students to hopefully gain some advice, maybe take a couple tips that they've shared to advance your careers. It is a laid back, low-key environment that allows you 100% access to, again, like I said before, accomplished sport industry professionals at your disposal. On my left, making his co-hosting debut, not a big deal. He's our podcast administrator for this year. Neville Madill, what's good, buddy?
Oh, not much. I'm back at Brock, actually. I'm in res this year as working for the university, so free res. It's not bad.
Which res?
Village. Yeah,
Nice.
Village, Court 10. Yeah,
Court
10. I was in that last year too, so we're back. I'm back a little bit early, but pretty excited for the year. Like getting back into classes. I know they're online, but I mean, my last semester, I had 9-4 communications and 9-7 research and design. So I'm excited to have some cool courses this semester. Sport finance, marketing. I got lots of cool SPMA courses this year, so going into second year. So yeah, I'm pretty good. What about you, Will? How's it going?
I'm chilling. At the time of recording this, I'm in my basement right now, but come late this week, I'll be moving down to St. Kitts. Get myself ready for a year, and who knows, maybe first weekend back I might sneak in around a golf, just to polish off the rest, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, to our interview subject, we interviewed Noah Goren from the Laval Rocket. He's the marketing coordinator there, and he's also a live social contributor and in the marketing department for the Montreal Canadiens. So two prestigious organizations, but he was a really great guest. I guess that him being from the Habs and the Rocket kind of piqued your interest because you're a Habs fan yourself. Probably a good choice to go with this outfit instead of my Leafs gear, glued all the way till the cows come home.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, you texted in the group chat. You're like, oh, I think this would be a good episode for a co-host. I'm like, oh, I'll definitely go on because, Noah works for Laval, the NHL, he's worked for Montreal. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely hop on that one. Evan couldn't make it to the intro today. We're still, he's still working lots. So, but
fair one before we continue. New listeners, Evan Pike is our social media coordinator. So if you see the stellar content that's coming from our Instagram page at SPMA Council Podcast, he is the straw that stirs the drink there.
Yeah, he's pushing content still, and he's working so much. We appreciate everything that Evan's doing. But this episode, I found it really interesting. Noah, being a Brock alumni, he had a different path, pretty unique, that it kind of, throughout the episode he touches on, and it's you guys just got to listen to it. It's really awesome. Anything you took away from it, Will?
The way that he actually studied at Brock that's comparable to what we're getting into now. At some periods he was at home taking courses, and just the fact of how he approached that, how he was passionate about what he wanted to do just to get into the sport industry, which involved him taking on a lot of opportunities, which will be discussed in the episode. But just to sum up his path, I really hope it shows, one path to success that you can take from an online term, and for other people moving in from out of province, whether you're from British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec, Atlantic provinces, Newfoundland territories, or even out of Canada. Here's a guy that came here out of province, and built a good network for himself, and built lots of opportunities through taking advantage of what was thrown at him. So it's a really great episode, and I think it's time for me to shut up and stop talking and send it over to our interview with Noah Goren of the Laval Rocket and the Montreal Canadiens. We hope you enjoy. All right, like we said in the intro, this is season 2, episode 2 of the SPMA Council podcast, and we've got a great guest for you today. A SPMA graduate. He graduated in 2019, so not that long ago, and he is the current marketing coordinator of both the Laval Rockets and a live social contributor for the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens. Coming to us from Montreal, Quebec, please welcome Noah Goren to the show. Noah, it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate the invite.
All right, so as we like to do for every episode, this has become a little of a regular feature. So from the start of your career to where you are now, what makes your story unique? And this could be an interesting one, and something that many people can relate to, especially since you came over from a different province to study sport management at Prague.
Yeah, so for me, honestly, I hadn't really heard of SPMA or Brock or anything, and I just was kind of, only interested in sports, didn't know where to go. Being here, Brock I don't think is as well known out here. It's starting to be, but it's not as popular, that's for sure. So I was kind of just reading about guys in the league, found out about Brock, and basically did my 4-year BA in only 2.5 years. So I came in with kind of like a mindset of, all right, I really like what this program has to offer once I, learned a little more, and really said to myself, okay, I'm going to focus and really make sure that, I take everything as seriously as possible and really see how this program can help me move on. And right away, got some really cool opportunities to kind of explore and gain some, I guess you could say, valuable experience in and around campus. So, I did a lot of volunteer opportunities at the Gale Center and whatnot, and I was there for the 2016 World Cup of Hockey, so I got to volunteer down there for that. So I think, like you said, coming over, and then also the fact that I was able to kind of cram everything in 2.5 years makes myself unique, more so than, a lot of people that I met there who were kind of from the GTA area, really big, like, Jays fans, Leafs fans. I was there really at the beginning of Austin Matthews' career, and working for the Canadiens, but also being a fan of them. Not maybe a lot of other Canadiens fans down there, so I didn't make too many friends my first day when I showed up with the Habs hat, but just those elements really, I think, make myself stand out maybe more so than some other people that went through the program.
Well, Noah, I'll say this, like, I'm in your shoes, kind of. Like, I'm also a Montreal Canadiens fan. I'm from downtown Toronto. I've just been,
Oh,
clobbered by fans all the time, and it's pretty frustrating. So I feel it. I know exactly what you're feeling. So starting at your time at Brock, are there any takeaways that you keep with you from your SPMA experience, whether it be class or connections you made throughout your time here?
yeah, for sure. So in terms of classes, we had a hockey class, a fourth-year hockey class that I did with Dr. Stevens, that was unreal and really kind of helped me, I guess you could say, see more of a global landscape rather than just, from a fan's point of view. So there was a lot of stuff about culture, and we did like a mini podcast project as well that really kind of helped me realize like this is really what I want to do and take the next step. And at the same time, I got a lot of experience just being in that environment, being around sports-minded people. All of our projects, whether it was a marketing project that we got to do, where you're working in groups or whatnot, those kind of experiences to me make SPMA stand out than other programs or other schools, because it's all sports all the time, but in different ways. Like you're not just concentrating on professional sports. Like, to me, that, along with then, because of you're doing all that, you're able to make a lot more friends and socialize. Like, there's a few guys that I still talk to. David Stark is one of them. He's coming down to Montreal in the next little bit, and so I'll definitely be seeing him. He's filming stuff for his podcast. Nick Gratton, who he was in SPMA with me. He grinded it out. He explored Australia through the school's programs and stuff, and now he's living down there, and he's killing it and working kind of similarly in the industry as well. Josh Adam, like there's a bunch of guys that I still keep in touch with and still talk to, and at the end of the day, if you don't speak to anyone for, let's say, 3-6 months, it's not lost, because everyone, the whole point of the program is sports, so everyone loves sports. So the second that you say like, oh yeah, I'm working, or I'm doing this or that, everyone's like, oh, that's so sick, yeah, I'm doing this, so like it's really cool, I find, to catch up or see how these guys are doing. And another person is Katerina Mogus. We graduated together, we did a bunch of projects, and now she's killing it. She's got her own social media business after having done a little bit of work with MLSE and stuff. So like, it's really cool to see a lot of us kind of grow together and still keep in touch in like even just smaller ways.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points there. And for the incoming first years, watching this, and although it may not be a regular start per se to the term that you were expecting, like that's what the potential of this program is, through the people that you meet, and B, the opportunities that you can choose to take advantage of, or be let pass you by. It's, from my experience over coming into my third year, it's a program that gives you a ton of resources, but you just have to be willing and committed to grab those opportunities when they come. And interacting with people, like even if you're an introvert, I guarantee you with at least one or two people, you're gonna have a common interest. So even if it's like connecting through LinkedIn to say hello to a fellow first year, you're probably gonna have something in common, and who knows, that connection could be crucial down the line. Like I can remember back in first year, and and I know I'm getting the time has passed me by when I say back in first year, for God's sake. But I can I can just walk. I can remember like talking to people, and there was at least one talking point about the hockey game last night, or the football game, or even as something as meaningless as our fantasy lines from last night that we could connect upon, and I can count on both hands that of people that I consider are not only true connections but true friends as well. So first years coming into the program, please keep that in mind. Keep in touch with fellow first years, and don't be afraid to reach out to upper year students as well. Moving on to specific experience.
I just want to add. Could I just add on that?
Okay, yeah. My bad. Go for it.
No. Don't worry. Because to that point, honestly, like every single person that I mentioned before that I'm still in touch with or still talk to, I met them. Like I didn't have a traditional first year of Brock like
right.
A lot of people, and I guess maybe whoever's like listening or who's a first year this year can relate to that. I came in for summer classes. So I did like the spring semester. So after everyone had already completed their first year, I came in and did a couple of intensives, and I met all those people during that time. So I came in like completely out of it, not knowing like anywhere what the school was like. Not knowing who like my roommates were in res or anything. And all these people that I mentioned like became friends, even if they didn't know who I was, they didn't know anything about me. We did a couple of projects with some others. I was in, either residence or whatever with them, and we hit it off. We had a common interest, like you said, and went from there,
For sure, definitely. Moving on to more specific experiences in SPMA and going into your career today. The two recent teams that you've been involved with primarily were not only the Laval Rocket, which I can see the jersey on the top right corner there, but the Junior C Niagara Riverhawks. Although both are at very different levels, they share one thing in common, and that is that they were new expansion teams. Were there any challenges that you had to overcome during your time there, since there really wasn't any bar to build off from? And in saying that, was there more opportunities to get out of your comfort zone there?
100%. Definitely when you touch on opportunity, that to me is the biggest thing. You create all your opportunities. So whether it's through, social media or just networking in general, everything you do is going to just help you create other opportunities. So the thing that I find really cool about working for smaller organizations is that you hold more responsibility. You're wearing more hats. You're doing different jobs. Like the first home game of the year for the Rocket is always crazy, because you're running around not only working on, let's say, any content stuff to hype up the game. You're helping sell tickets in terms of what you're producing and what you're posting and what you're advertising ahead of time. Anything that you're doing in the concourse or in stadium, you have to make sure that it's finalized, it's ready. Anything that's getting printed, you're bringing it in. Anything that is any tickets that are being reserved, you have to go make sure, double check that's all taken care of. Any game presentation stuff, whether it's prizes that you're giving out that night, t-shirts in the t-shirt gun, all these little things you're doing. And it's awesome because you get to learn so much, where, someone at the Montreal Canadiens, let's say, for example, just because it's a direct comparison that I know, there's probably at least 4 to 6 people doing the same job that I do on a day-to-day basis at the Rocket. And that's just because they're a bigger organization. So they have more money to spend, but also more ground to cover. So, take, for example, social media. This season, we had someone who was a direct social media coordinator. We had someone who was a video guy, and then we had me. That's it. The Canadiens themselves, they have, someone overseeing all of content, head of social, 2 coordinators that work for them, 5 video guys. So just in terms of on the content side, you're creating all your opportunity, you're making things happen, you're working to make sure that it goes out on time, that you're able to promote X game, but not forget about Y promotion at the same time. So in terms of that, 100% important thing to do is just remember, everything that you're doing is going to matter at some point. When I was with the Ice Hawks, like you mentioned, honestly, I went in there not knowing a thing about Ontario junior hockey, whether it's OHL or anything. We have the Quebec Major Junior League out here. There's a team that plays about 40 minutes from my house. And basically that's the only exposure, only thing that we got out here. Whereas in Ontario, I find junior hockey is huge. So even, coming into that situation, even though it was junior C, a lot of people look at it and say like, oh, you're definitely not getting as many fans as, a regular junior game, or don't have to do as much work. But, we were still showing up volunteer basis. We created a marketing plan for the season for them. We helped them sell merch. We had ticket sales. We organized a night for Brock students to come out to the Gale Center and whatnot. We were helping with food promotions in that case, with branding, trying to help them cover social media and stuff. So there was a lot of stuff still that we were doing, and I truly believe that helped me move on, because I was able to gain that experience and knowledge of, and honestly the work ethic too. Like a lot of people, I find they not that they expect it just to come to them, but they're not expecting the amount of work maybe that is needed to be put in to reach a certain level.
Right.
And it kind of showed me like, okay, if you want to do this, you're not going to be just sitting in an office, let's say, or whatever. Like, honestly, if I wore like a Fitbit or something, I'm sure my steps would be crazy on a game day, because you're running around the arena the second you get there. And on depending on the game, if it's a big game, we're getting there at 7:30, 8 a.m., leaving close to midnight. So like, they're long days when you consider everything that you have to do to prepare for games. There's a show element to it too, so being able to learn first before going into that environment, I think really helped me, because it kind of showed me what to expect as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you bring up like that, you started small, right? It was a smaller, hockey team, like, and for every first year that's watching this or listening to this, I mean, that's where you start, I think for me, at least, I'm going into my second year. During first year, in first semester, they send you out experiential, learning opportunities. And so, I would kind of scroll through them. I'm like, oh, I don't think I like this one. I don't think I like this one. Just for any first years, just go for it. Just, it's something that, like, it's usually a weekly, volunteer opportunity. Just do it. Just get your name out there and get going. So, no, like it
is.
Sorry.
Had the CV, like get as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, exactly. Just like it's so awesome, because like you can just diversify. They have a lot of different opportunities, especially in the Niagara region. So, no, we can definitely talk about how great Montreal Canadiens and Laval hockey is, but in terms of strategy and business ops, can you provide some insight into the similarities and differences with working for a minor professional club in Laval compared to a $100 million franchise in Montreal?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Even when you're just looking at pure access, I can walk into the Laval Rocket dressing room anytime, any day. I know every single guy that's in that room. They know me. They know what to expect from me. whether it's the equipment staff or the players. Just our access in general is, I have all, we there's a group of us, we have all access, you know, that we're trusted that we're going to do a professional job. But then on the other hand, you know, not that we're not trusted in Montreal, but they got to keep it much more under wraps. So for example, I can't just walk into the room before the game. That's not a thing. There's no one that really can, unless you're, you know, Marc Bergevin or any of the Canadiens hockey ops staff. You don't just, you know, walk into the dressing room. It's not a thing. You'll get kicked out right away. There's like literally a line where I can go, and if I'm behind that line, all is good in the world. Maybe I'll get asked to see my pass a couple of times just to make sure, because like you're in proximity to the guys. But you know, you cross that line and you're out. So just in terms of that, you're already, you know, you sense that there's a difference.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like I was talking about, you know, just even people working, we're only about 20 in Laval. And honestly, that's a lot now. We used to be about 4 on the marketing side when I first started there.
Jeez.
I was one of the first, I think I was the 3rd employee in the Rocket marketing. There was a head of marketing. There's actually, so 4th, sorry. There's the head of marketing and sales. There's the head of marketing, and then head of social, and then I came in as a marketing intern. And just that in general, like, made me realize, okay, like, I got work to do, you know, especially then we were in the basement of the Bell Center, and you go upstairs and there's a huge floor dedicated to marketing with, you know, a whole pit of graphic artists, writers that are in the middle of planning their seasons out. There's a whole team working game presentation people, you know. So in terms of that, huge difference. We also, just in general, have to work harder to get our names out there, whether it's, you know, with advertising on TSN or RDS or Sportsnet, working on ticket sales and whatnot. Like the Laval Rocket name, let's face it, it's not as world-renowned nearly as the Montreal Canadiens. And that's fine. It's just a reality. But at the same time, when you're working under an organization like the Canadiens, there are certain, I would say, levels that you're expected to reach. So right away, like, that was really something we decided. It was very clear based on the tone that was set by my boss, Seb Vaillant, that, you know, we're going to treat ourselves as if we're, at this point, I guess, the 33rd NHL team. Like, we're not going to, you know, do research, see what other AHL teams are doing and say, okay, let's do the bare minimum to just, like, get by. We wanted to kind of set the tone, because you never know who's going to be in the rink. And if that's, you know, Ottawa Senators management who's coming in and they're seeing the show that we're putting on in the building and the facilities and everything, like, that's huge, because you don't know what impression you're going to make. So for us, we decided that at a very early point, and we became, like, really hungry to continue finding success. Like, a lot of the events, let's say, that, you know, the Canadiens hold, they're capped out, they're invite only, season ticket holders. They have to do them over the course of 2-3 weekends just to be able to fit everyone and invite everyone. Here for us, you know, we're doing a lot of events throughout the year. They're one day, they're a few hours. You're getting to actually meet the players. You're getting that proximity. You're getting, you know, prizes. But at the same time, you know, you have to understand that you do have to not pay for the product, but you have to realize the level of prestige at the Montreal Canadiens. And we're growing. We're, you know, this is going to be our 4th season in Laval. honestly, we were on track to make the playoffs if it was not for COVID. We'll see what happens going forward this year. We have a lot of good young Canadians prospects that are coming up, but that's not enough. The reality is that's not enough. Like when you're dealing with budgets like that are, I'm not going to give exact numbers, but that are, a lot bigger than yours, and they're in the same market, you have to figure out a way to compete with that. So there's always different things. You got to find a way to stand out, whether it's being a little more edgy in your branding, whether it's, targeting certain regions of the island of Montreal or surrounding areas, making your players do more media than they're typically supposed to, as requested by the AHL, just to be able to get your name and your brand and your players' names out there. Those are kind of things that we got to deal with. So there's a lot of moving parts on both sides, but the reality is that everyone knows what this is, but not everyone knows what that is, and we're working on it so that they mesh.
Yeah, great point. Great points there, Noah. I mean, what helps, when you get into an organization is, just at least know the structure, because obviously with a minor pro organization, there's not going to be as much staff as, say, the Canadiens, where you have more rules and regulations, and there's a prestige you need to live up to. So just for listeners tuning in, new or old, just a little something to consider when you're applying for jobs, or you've accepted a position and you're trying to figure out what your role truly is, and how you can contribute. But there's a lot of pressure, probably with the AHL than the Canadiens, because the Bell Center is going to be full with 21,000 people every night. But even with Laval's arena, which seats, if I'm not mistaken, just about 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000, just about on the nose.
Yeah, which seats about 10,000. I mean, you still gotta fight to earn that market share in front of a packed sports scene, and then you gotta reach those people. And I think there's a bunch of AHL teams that have those challenges, mainly because of their market size, such as Binghamton or Belleville. But you guys have already a packed sports scene, with not just hockey, but with the Alouettes and the Impact as well. So even though you're going to have to take risks, it's all about making sure that you not only earn that consumer's dollar for A, the event, or B, the game, but you earn it for multiple times. So you're able to create repeat business. Moving on to more recent events, and obviously COVID's been a broken record topic, but we sort of have to touch onto it as the bubble canceled the AHL season. The pandemic canceled the AHL season and moved the NHL season to a bubble format. And my question for you is this: how important is it, as both a marketing coordinator and a social contributor, to ensure the connection between the fans and the club remains constant, while ensuring the positive brand image stays intact, even if there's no fans in the field of play?
Honestly, to me, whether it's direct social content or having like recap videos post game, pump up videos pre-game, I believe truly that social media has never been more important. Every single game before you come out, whether at the Bell Center, at Place Bell, all you see are kids, hovering around where the Canadiens or the Rocket come out, and they want to see their favorite players up close. They want to, get to know their personality a little bit more. Maybe they're joking around during warm-ups and they see it and they gravitate towards that. That's now where social media is going to come in and play an even bigger role. Like social media coordinators all over are going to have to figure out, okay, how do we show these guys' personalities in a way that it doesn't get old by, the third week of the season when, a Tuesday night game, let's say, versus Binghamton will take, is being played and there's no one in the stands and we want to show, some cool angles or some different behind the scenes. That's going to be a legit, brainstorm meeting that we're going to have at some point when we go back, because we can't just act business as usual, because once the game starts, or once it would start typically, we would kind of let the story unfold in terms of what, our video guys would send us. We would post some behind the scenes, but we wouldn't try and overdo it. Now we'll be running around trying to get different angles of plays, maybe trying to show different things that, you're not going to be able to see on TV or hear on the radio, because who knows when we're going to be able to experience that again. And
Right.
Yes, TV and ticket sales are huge, money makers in sports, but so is merchandise. And you want people to resonate with the players to the point that they go out and they spend their money to represent the team and whatnot. And the only way that you're going to do that, aside from, winning, basically, is by showing off what you have and getting people to fall in love with that. Like Canadiens fans wouldn't love Jesperi Kotkaniemi if he was boring, if he wasn't willing to comment and make funny posts on Instagram, but he does, and people love him. And he had one of the highest grossing jersey sales on the team in the last couple of years. And that's huge. You want to have that. So then a direct correlation was then when he came to Laval, we made it a point to show behind the scenes stuff that RDS was not getting that weekend, so that, people would be more willing to follow the Rocket, but also to come out to games to see him while he was with us. And now, it was brought up while he was in the bubble that, his time in Laval really helped him. And people who were there and who were following, they saw that he was enjoying himself. And now that'll really be a big part of our job going forward is, how do we replicate that and be able to deliver that to fans in different ways throughout the season?
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So, I find what's really cool about this pandemic, and obviously it's not a good thing that it's happening, but it's made all these sport organizations a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more creative in the way that they handle their social media. And now, if you're a good sport organization, or any organization for that matter, you have elevated your social media game throughout these 5-6 months.
100%.
So, right. So, but that's going to be the standard now. Like, that's going to be the exact standard that all organizations need to keep themselves at, which is, I find that really cool. It's going to be cool, like, who can keep up with it, who can't. And I think that's going to be a pretty big difference. That's just my input on there.
100%. Even if you were doing personal projects this pandemic, even if if you're posting on social, it doesn't matter which content you did, but at least it made you more aware of the power of social media and what it can do to boost the brand of maybe an organization you're promoting, or boost your personal brand as well. So that's a huge trend that is going to be climbing in a positive direction for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%.
Right, Noah. Yeah, Noah. So we're just about done here. I have one more question for you. So, throughout your experience in the industry, the sport industry, what are some of the key traits or skills that any aspiring sport professional need to be better equipped for success in the industry?
I'll say the number one thing is make sure that you stand out. Like, a lot of people want to work in sport. They'll write my boss saying, you know, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'll get emails from people saying like, hey, if you have anything available or open, let me know. You got to make yourself stand out. When I was at Brock, and I was starting to, you know, realize, okay, let's say, I think it was my second full semester. So January, February 2017, I was like, okay, I'm going to be home this summer. Do I want to work retail, which I've been doing for the last, you know, 4 or 5 years? Or, you know, a lot of what I heard in school was, you know, go out there and get experience, whether it's, you know, working in the community, working for a pro team, working with athletes directly. Anything on your CV is good. Boost it up. I was like, all right, you know what? I'll make myself stand out. So I went and I did some research on LinkedIn. I found 12 people who worked at the Montreal Canadiens in their marketing department, because I knew that I was much more a marketing person than I was, let's say, in sales. And basically I printed out my CV. I attached a business card. I wrote and hand signed personalized cover letters, put them in brown envelopes, and sent them to the 3rd floor at the Bell Center and marketing department. And like 12 people got them. And I found out later that that was a part of why I ended up being there. I stood out. Like, no one sends mail to anyone anymore, especially personalized mail. And they were impressed. And that was just like one thing that I did. I used to go to conferences in Montreal. Like, there, you know, we have a Concordia University that has like a sports conference that they do every year. I used to go to that, meet people, other like community sports events. And I ended up meeting the head of the Rocket. He, you know, asked people at the Bell Center if they had heard of me. A couple of people, you know, who I had met with as a result of the brown envelope thing, told, yeah, kid just wants to break in. And I got a call like maybe a month or so later asking if I'd be interested to do a marketing internship over the summer. So I don't think that would have happened, honestly, had I not like tried to find a way to stand out. You never know how it's going to be and how it's going to be received. But at the same time, if you don't try, you're never going to know, you know, like you don't want to sit there and just, oh, okay, yeah, hi, like my name's Noah. I was wondering if you had any jobs, any openings this summer. I'd love to be a part of it. Well, no, like say why, say what you can bring to the table, make sure you stand out and make a connection. Like, once you get an email back, like don't be hesitant to reach out on LinkedIn or just like add them, follow on social. Like, those are normal practices. Like, half my Instagram now is just people that either I've worked with or I've been in groups or whatnot with, whether it's with the NHL or CFL or here. And that's like my network now. And if you don't stand out even within your network, you know, who's going to vouch for you next time that you're looking for a job? Like, you never know. This pandemic caused a lot of people to lose their jobs. There's a lot of good professional sports content creators and marketers and salesmen and everything that have experience already. So like, what are you going to do to make yourself stand out? That's like, to me, the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better. You know, it may sound like a wake up call to some people, but you know, the competition's fierce, as we all know, and if you know, if you want to make a career out of your university degree, you're gonna have to go the extra mile. You're gonna have to make those sacrifices that maybe other jobs may not require. And you know, if your mind's in it, if you have the passion to do it, like you've obviously displayed in this interview, then you know, history will usually point in the right direction for you. Now,
For sure.
so that wraps up this interview. And again, we myself and Neville, we both want to thank you, Noah, for just for spending time with us to talk about your story and share some very helpful advice that I hope students and casual listeners to this podcast will take advantage of. And as is tradition, we like to invite our guests to do their own personal sign off to the show. Maybe it's something that's going on in your life right now, or maybe you just want to say something that's been on your mind. So Noah, thanks again, and the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, guys, for having me on. I just want to say to everyone, work hard, make sure that you make a name for yourself, and don't forget where you came from. You're going to hate those exams and everything, but in the end, the teachers are your allies. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a lot of the teachers helping me out very patiently, I might add, as I showed up to their door a million times asking, okay, I have this opportunity to work for the Canadiens AHL team. Can you help me get a project going or something for credit that I can, so I can kind of get my career started. And don't forget that. And also a big thing is stay true to your values, with everything that's going on right now with Black Lives Matter and whatnot. To me, that's, I love the saying, you treat the CEO as you would the garbage man and or the janitor. And to me, that's huge. You treat everyone with respect, and you'll have, a lot of success in this industry.
No, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Good luck this semester, everyone.